Recording the meeting. Okay, this is the August 3rd, 2017 Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and I'm Fred Chang, the chair. Let's just go around this way and introduce ourselves.
Kathy Michael, Cedar Copan.
Lorraine Olson, Mrs. House.
Brandy Rainerson, City Clerk.
Sheila Klein, Jingle Bell Run.
Matt Murphy, the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, so we have the agenda in front of us. The next item is the review of the lodging tax funding regulations and reporting. And we have 3 handouts here. Brandy, do you want to run through them?
Yeah, so the first one is just the RCW stating what lodging tax is all about and sets up the committee rules and process and the council's role in dispersing funds and their allowable uses for it. So there hasn't been any legislations changed in the last couple of years for this, so this is more for you to have easy access for your term. And then we have a new person that hasn't been on the board before, so, or the committee before, so again, this is for you to review. And then what the second document is MRFC's most frequently asked questions type of thing, which summarizes RCW that I thought might be helpful.
Yeah, it's a nice 5-page document that's probably easier to read than the RCW.
Right, and so maybe it should help you answer some of your questions.
This is so nice of you to give us all this information.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it because I usually don't keep it from year to year, so thank you.
And it would probably change anyway, some of it, maybe not all of it. But and then the third piece is, we just got this, I believe, last week. So this is the 2016 JLARC report. So every year, lodging tax recipients are required to track their attendance of people attending their events. And so this is the report that was submitted to the state by each jurisdiction. And it looks like some of them didn't submit it, but I think most jurisdictions did.
And Port Orchards is on page 3 and about the middle.
So let's see. So there's Port Orchard's numbers.
The overall attendance projected is over 1 million.
And I think there's some difference of opinions on if that includes televised viewers or physical viewers or actually in the city of Port Orchard.
Televised as.
I believe Fathom's event is televised for their parades. And so they kind of insinuate that it is attracting tourists from that aspect. As well as I think they are on TV at Seafair, during the Seafair. So that's, I believe, where a majority of those numbers are coming from.
As a comparison, I like to look at Port Townsend below it. They have 3 times as much in their budgets, almost 3 times as much, but their numbers are a little different, a lot smaller than ours. So, yeah, that's just interesting.
And then Paulsville is somewhat considered our sister city, and their numbers are a little bit different as well. So.
So do we want to, do we think those numbers are skewed? Do we want to spend more time sort of researching that? Because it is kind of an anomaly.
Right.
Or do we just go at face value?
Excuse me.
When the state set up the new reporting system, they just said, they're not holding everybody to, it's hard to gauge exactly what the attendance are, so they're not really going to scrutinize, if you did the best good faith estimate that you do. So they did put it that way. So I think if there's some justification as to why those numbers are that way, if the legislators or the committee of the state asks, why is it so various different compared to your jurisdictions around you with the same dollar amount, I think that's probably the statement that I would use.
Okay.
Whether they would change it or not, I mean, it's
I think Port Townsend has quite a few more lodging
You know,
facilities.
what I'm wondering
than
actually,
we do.
Brandy, and maybe you have the answer, is can we find out what the breakdown of that 1.5 million is for Port Orchard? I mean, do we?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, okay,
I can email it out to you
okay.
guys.
Because
Yeah.
that would explain it.
Yeah,
And
I have a
maybe-
report of
Okay,
what
so it
was
could be that
reported by
Fathoms is
each
claiming like
recipient.
over 1 million
Mhm.
coverage or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you look, I mean, Paulsville we know does very well. Port Townsend is a real draw. And for us to be like almost 5 times in Port Townsend, it just doesn't make any sense.
Alright.
We just don't have the, I don't know, fix.
The reason,
Well,
I mean, I
you
like
just
the
don't see it.
number.
You
There's
don't
nothing wrong
see-
with the number, but it's just.
yeah.
a million people
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
through, and we want to, I would think we'd want to be as accurate as possible in how we're representing our community.
Well, what's interesting, look at paid lodging nights actual. Just compare those from Port Orchard to Port Townsend next to the last column. That's also really bizarre. This says we have twice as many paid lodging nights actual as Port Townsend. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me. Or almost
So
10
where
times
are
as
you-
much as
right
Paulsville.
here.
Next to the last column.
So here.
Yeah.
What's your number? You're
Okay.
So the 4,058
Yeah,
for us is, okay.
I'm just really
Out of state.
baffled. I mean, these are nice numbers,
So the
but-
first one are their estimates, and then the second
Okay.
is the actuals,
So this whole first set,
is estimates.
okay.
How do you get that amount? Because I've never reported my actual numbers.
Oh, really?
I've never been asked. I don't know. I mean, other than my
Oh.
taxes.
Right, yeah, so that's, oh, well, I'm just.
Is that how they get it? Well, no,
No.
there's no,
No,
because I just
really, no,
report
no.
income and tax.
Yeah.
You know, it's all estimates. So what they
Yeah.
do is some people in their, and you'll see in the report that I emailed to you that you'll see this spreadsheet here, does the reporting and says, okay, what's their projection, what's their actual, what's their methodology, and they'll explain their methodology of how they came up with those numbers. And a lot of them is just a percentage.
What?
Hey, we estimate 1% of the people riding the Foot Ferry is going to get, you know, state of mind or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
So I think that's kind
So
of
it's
where
really
those
not
numbers-
actual.
Well, the
That's
kicker,
funny because they have, the state has actual numbers.
I don't report.
We
actual
get dollar
numbers.
amounts.
Dollar amounts,
The
yeah.
city gets dollar
Yeah,
amounts,
yeah,
but we
that's all
can't
the
share
city
that
gets to.
with anybody else, so,
They get the
yeah.
gross, they get the revenue without,
And the taxes.
and then taxes, and yeah, they break it out. We do quarterly.
well, a lot of the turmoil over these numbers is, you know, it's in part of the tourism and ED committee discussions where if these numbers were at some point to be used to determine the effectiveness of the dollars, you want your numbers to look as good as possible. And that's where the fudging factor comes in. You know, I mean, it's,
I guess that's a bit of a concern,
But-
probably a bit more in the aspect that we're working with math. I mean, numbers are numbers, they don't
I was gonna
lie.
say.
Yeah, so how do we, in retrospect, look and say, okay, we're showing this, and is there a result in that people are overconfident of the lodging that we have and saying, well, it's okay, instead of looking at more resources for lodging, bringing more people in? I
It
don't
doesn't
know.
make any sense because you compare it to the
Yeah.
county. What the county has, I mean, our numbers are just, they're just wrong.
But if our numbers
How
are.
do we compare to the county? The county should be huge compared to us.
Kitsap County is, and I'm sorry to take up so much time
No,
with this,
no,
but
you're
I'm
fine.
just quite enthralled by this.
Kitsap County, so 2,269,656, and then that's
Well-
all unincorporated Kitsap County.
Yeah, well, okay, like Kitsap County's, let's just look at the paid lodging nights actual. Okay, theirs is higher,
5,983.
as
yeah.
opposed to 4,000.
but
Okay,
they've
that's
got,
good.
how many more times was the number of rooms
Yeah, like
in
Silverdale.
unincorporated
Yeah.
county versus what we've got?
Right, but then you also have to know that Kitsap County, the majority of those rooms are taken by Department of Defense and military, because there's so many hotels in the Silverdale area. You're not
Mhm.
talking bed and breakfast in a couple hotels, you're talking DOD. You
Yeah.
know, huge, because there's not enough lodging to handle all the contractors and all the, even just
Yeah.
military personnel.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating.
So it's not-
So,
Where indeed
Okay.
here, we're really mostly getting people that are coming to stay for recreational, more recreational purposes.
So I just have another, just to add to the conversation, I'm not trying to change or convince anybody of anything, and I don't even know if this is relevant, but if we're reporting inflated numbers, then there's no way for us to ever look at growth or expansion or anything. But I don't know if that's what you all want to do. Data is so important, and you can learn so much by providing accurate data, and sometimes you don't know what a future need of data is.
Well, I think we'll know more when Brandy gives us
Yeah.
the report that shows, the specific numbers for each organization, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think that would tell a lot.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to have a point to go from to say, well, if we're gonna grow, what else, what have we been doing that works, and what have we, there's an analysis.
we saw this
different
last year, and I
analysis
think
on
we
that.
just didn't follow up. We mentioned that we thought it was weird, and then we just forgot about it. Or there wasn't much to do about it. But let's remember this year, and let's look into it, and at least try to figure out why.
Yeah, the methodology that's used is the big factor, because it's like, I made notes when we do mine, and so it's like, I'll take a percentage of our website hits, and that probably goes into the, if I have 100,000 web hits, and I say 5% of those people are going to come to our events, that gives me the base number. That would be my projected number. Then if I said, well, and I know how many people came from outside of that 50-mile radius because I can see where they're from, I turn around and say that, okay, out of the 5% that came, 10% spent the night, 5%, 10% of the 5% spent the night, and they were here for 2 nights, and so, but that initial, if you've go down to the cruise in 2 weeks and try to get a head count. Try to get an accurate head count.
Right, but majority of those people aren't spending the night.
Yeah.
They're here for.
But even then, you have a methodology, and it makes sense that you take a percentage of an estimate or something.
Mhm.
But it still baffles me that we would have an overall attendance that's higher than that of Kitsap County.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
okay. I just wish our revenue was a lot more than Kitsap County too.
Well,
I mean, that's
Yeah, if our revenue was the same, we wouldn't be so concerned about
it's just that.
why the numbers don't match
Yeah.
the dollars.
Yeah.
But you look at Bremerton, they had 27,000 overnight stays, and they had $450,000 in funds.
Well, and then they've got way more hotels, so.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's.
And they had a quarter of our overall attendance.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll let you straighten it out, Fred.
Okay.
But it's good to look at this though, so thank you for.
Yeah, thank you for providing it. And
Yeah.
So the next is the committee timeline and guidelines, so the timeline and then slash guidelines. So on the back of the page of the guidelines is the timeline. Oh, that's confusing. So this is just pure estimate based on, how much time we think that we should leave the application process open. So I think we tried to do at least 2 to 3 weeks, so I didn't know if we want to do the full 30 days. We're in a little bit different scenario this year since we're on a biennial budget that we already know our numbers, we already know it's approved by the budget. So all the council really has to do is approve, accept, or deny, or modify the committee's recommendation, and I think we have plenty of time to do that. So I suspect that if there isn't a whole lot of changes of the documents that are provided, then we would go ahead and open up the applications tomorrow. Have it open for 30 days. Worst case, if there is some changes, then probably middle of next week. By the time I get it changed and sent out for you guys to review, then we can open it up next week, and that'll give them about 3.5 weeks to apply. And then, so Tuesday, September 5th is the Tuesday, after the Labor Day holiday. And so the committee reviews the application is that Wednesday, so I can either email them to you, sometimes they're too big to email, send a couple emails, or we'll just make sure that we have the packets ready for you guys to pick up on that Wednesday after
That's been
Labor
really
Day.
helpful to
Yeah.
have the packets ready.
And that'll give you guys the rest of the week, all weekend, and then part of the following week. So week of September 11th would be the week that if you guys wanted to, while the applications are freshly in your minds, you can have the interviews with the applicants that week. And then I know in the past, sometimes you guys have just deliberated the same week to get it all done and over with, but if you didn't want to do that, then the following week you could do the deliberations with a committee recommendation to the council on September 26th. So that's just the rough timelines there. So if it doesn't work with your schedule, or if you want to combine it, you can let me know. But I mean, again, it's not set in stone. It's just something to give the applicants know so they know when they should clear it off to have interviews or attend council.
Is there a deadline that we're aiming to get it to council? And is that the September 26th deadline?
So September's work study session is, it states in our
Oh.
code that I have to give them an update. So most likely what I'll do is say, hey, the committee's working on it and we're gonna bring it forward as soon as we can. So that's really all I have to do,
Okay.
but,
So, so the actual recommendations could be different than September 26th.
right, you can go into October this year.
Okay, if we had to, okay.
When you're not working on a budget cycle, you can go into October.
Okay.
When you get into October during the budget cycle, it becomes difficult because the council's bogged down with the budget and they like to spend an hour or two on this, so it's hard to find that time. So I think we got some time this year.
Okay, that's good.
And so if you go, sorry to flip flop around, but if you go to the back of the page, this guideline report is what we attach to the actual application that says, hey, this is the guidelines, just in case if you want to look at it, there's some information you should probably know before you apply. And this is something that we added last year, just keeps them in mind that what's not eligible for reimbursement, the reimbursement process, the application process, and again, the schedule. So kind of gives them some ideas. So the projected revenue, so it was 98, what was it? Oh, I left my binder. Let me go grab my binder.
Last year?
Yeah, let me go grab my binder because what we ended up doing was he gave a biennial budget number.
And we split it in half.
And we split it in half, but the council chose to spend a little bit more this year. So there's gonna be less next year, so it's not totally 50-50. And then there's some other factors that came into play that, we need to reserve some from first time applicants. So let me go down there and get that. And then there were some questions when we get to the application that was asked when we reviewed the tourism plan, who can actually apply. And I have a legal counsel review on comments on that.
Okay.
So let me go grab that real quick. If you guys want to look at the contract and the applications and a questionnaire, that's the last batch of the document.
Actually, is there an application here?
Yes.
We see the contract.
It was at the back of I think it was at the back of the tourism.
Okay. Let's look at the application and
I think it was at the back
see
of
if it's
that.
asking the info. Yeah, you're right. It's the last 3 pages.
Oh,
Last-
of the-
Yeah, of the whole packet, yeah. See if this is what you're asking what you're
I
going
wonder if
for.
those numbers are so high because, I wonder how Adams determines
This one.
Yeah. Let's see. So we're looking at the City of Port Orchard lodging tax application. It's 3 pieces of, well, two pieces of paper. And this is a draft.
I guess I haven't noticed this before, that no late applications, even if they're postmarked.
Hmm.
Yeah, I practiced to catch that. Do you think most people probably handle it?
It's funny, it always
Or-
says do not include presentation materials, but people do. which is okay, and they also presented as their oral presentation. Okay, the first page seems pretty standard, and I guess I would just say, is this asking the information that you're going to want when evaluating a project? Likewise, you can wear two hats. You have both the applicant hat and the evaluator hat.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
It's the air conditioning. But don't turn it off.
At least we know.
Yeah, that's just it.
I was told that it was all off at
No.
4:30. I thought, oh no. Not today.
I think it's always sort of a little bit of a catch-22. You know, and then we ask for community economic benefit. And how hard that is to actually break down and describe, and with the amount of things that we have here and just the location and all that we're dealing with, you know, along with the fact that the other side of it being that, you know, we do things to draw people in from the outside, but we also do it because it's part of, such a big part of what our community is, you know. And I think for years, you know, there's been a little bit of a struggle between, we do this for our city because it's our city and we like it and we want it, and then that part that really drives this, which is, are we bringing in and doing things, and are people sitting down and talking about, are there other things that we could be doing here that would create more financial vitality? Because we're restricted on the lodging side, but it's not just lodging, because whenever people come in, you're dealing with, you know, restaurants and movies and whatever else impact city revenue. But
I think from an evaluator standpoint, I'm okay with the application. Do you guys feel it's onerous to fill out, or just is it pretty standard?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys, because you fill this out.
Yeah.
Like the other income and the expenses and other financial info, is that hard to fill out? Or would that
Well, I've always wondered, I mean, because we're doing this, I always put that it's, you know, obviously it's for marketing. And like, I don't have extra money coming in specifically for that purpose. Obviously, the event gets money through sponsorship for other things to cover other expenses, but not necessarily marketing expenses. So I have, you know, found it confusing as far as, okay, so do I be that specific? Is that really what it's looking for, or does it want my overall budget number of what I think I'm going to bring in as far as sponsorship? You know what I mean?
I would think it wants, I'm gonna go out. I like to find out of your budget how much you're expecting to be funded through lodging tax versus your other sources.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that I would want, well, but I'm not voting, the detail on the other sources if you didn't have it, but just a ballpark figure.
Okay.
And so I think we do ask for other income, but I think one of the shortcomings in some of the applications are, we don't know what the heck the money's being spent for, because we get the big budget and we have to really, I mean, we try really hard to make sense of the applications, but sometimes we can't really tell how our funding, we don't get a budget for our funding. It's just like the big budget, and then our money just kind of fits in to the big budget. Does that make sense?
well, we make it fit.
It does, yeah, and I think that's one of the things that Beck was, one of Beck's points, where is that it is,
Where does it go? And
yeah, he was like, okay, I need $15,000, give me $15,000.
Right.
And we really struggle with that, and so I've often thought that how can we make this clear? That we just really want what do we call it? You know, we want the project, because we're funding a project, a specific event or a project. So what's the event budget, not
Just all the costs.
all the costs?
Yeah.
And then what's our money? Like if you have an event, I'll just say you're selling popsicles, you know, we just want to know how much it's going to cost to sell popsicles, not that you're selling M&Ms and getting funding from someplace else. And, you know, that's part of the other income. But how could we make this clearer?
Actually,
that.
on the second page, D, which I guess is 3D, I like the question where it says describe and be specific on what you would spend the requested funds on. So I'm seeing that as them telling the committee what, you know, of what they've asked for on the previous page, which, yeah, the bottom of page 3, or page 2 under project detail, it says amount of funding requested out of the total project. But then under D, it's like describing what that funds would be spent on.
Yeah, I do have a question about that, because again, for myself, filling this out, so let's say I'm asking for $1,000. So amount of funding requested is $1,000, total project amount. Okay, so in that spot, do you want for like the whole Jingle Bell Run, total project amount of what is going to be spent, or just, because the project would be, is it the Jingle Bell Run or is it marketing for the Jingle Bell Run? Because I'm asking for money for marketing, not to help me put on the whole event. See, that's how I took
I
this
think we
section.
should know
Yeah,
what I guess I would say the gross amount is for the event that is being put on. Because then you can see the total amount that organization is needing to do that event. And then you're able to look and see, you know, well, you're asking, you know, $6,992 for that.
Okay,
But
so
I-
if
but I
it
think-
costs me $10,000 to put on my event,
Right.
that's what you want in that total project. So
On the
my
bottom page,
project name
yes.
is Jingle Bell Run.
Can I use the whiteboard
Yeah.
for a second? I'm feeling the need. Because I think this is really critical. I think it's all a matter of the wording that we use. I think.
Yeah.
And so under project detail, we have 3, it's project detail.
Yeah, because then,
But it's not really project detail, is it overall event detail?
right, because up here you ask, funding requested for event or marketing.
Okay.
Okay, so if I mark marketing, to me, down here, then under project name, Jingle Bell Run marketing, amount of funding requested $1,000, total project amount, maybe it's actually gonna cost me $2,000 to do marketing, and I only want $1,000 from the LTAC committee.
Well, the reason that the event and marketing is differentiated there like that is because the RCW specifically calls out that it must be used for one of those two things.
So I could ask for money to put on my entire event, yeah, and not just from, because I thought,
You might not get it.
Has to
well,
be,
but that's, see,
it
this
has
helps
to be
me
in a-
understand the whole process.
well, it has to be in an event that is designed to attract tourists.
Which-
That's what our
yeah.
which is,
Which you do.
And Brandy, did we
Well, and I could
suggest
prove
that
through
she
zip
like
code reports and.
she would do 2 separate ones, one for event and one for marketing, 2 separate applications?
that's how the reporting is done. She's gonna have to report that to the state, so I think that's, in the past, we've kind of tailored this to, yes, I
Right,
believe so.
and that's what
I
I've
would do
done.
too.
Yes.
Okay.
So you.
We used to combine it, but then it's like, well, if you want marketing, you need to explain what you want
So
marketing
we're-
for. If you want
every
event or
little-
operations, yeah.
Item is recommended to have its own
Or marketing.
application.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the understanding that the event is gonna have some overflow in marketing.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
that's-
So you've got the
So
event
let's
happening and
say-
the costs for that.
So let's say somebody checks off marketing, like you say. Okay, bear with me. So now this is where we want to know what our money's being spent on.
Mhm.
But we also want to know what how this fits into your bigger project. And so we just need to change some words here.
Yep.
So maybe project detail is event detail? Event or project, the entire event or project detail? I'm just trying to think of the right
Yeah.
words. And it doesn't have to be perfect right
Well, because
now.
these are, just thinking out loud, this is an event that is being put on.
So overall, event or project. I don't think this is gonna do it either, but. So then, then we wanna know, the name, the title or something. And then the amount of, how about if we put here, total cost of overall, again, trying to use the same language, overall event or project, and then amount of
Requested.
LTAC
Requested.
requested to support that project.
Yeah, I think it really helps to see what is the total amount that you're needing and how much you're requesting from here, assuming, or it's in the application, that, so if it's $50,000, whatever, that 35,000 of it's coming from this, and you already have that, and you're needing this
Okay.
balance to do, yeah.
Okay,
it's
so again, so in my event, if it takes $10,000 to put on my event, that would be the total cost right
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
And then I'm only requesting $1,000
Yeah.
from you guys.
Yeah, or you're requesting 10.
Or
And we
yeah.
just want to use language that's clear, so it's not confusing.
Yeah.
Because it was confusing to us
Okay.
to have to sort it out. So is that getting,
And I'm wondering if I should change marketing to tourism marketing, because that's what the RCW says, is
Yeah.
tourism marketing. And then the other one, it says marketing and operations of special events. That's too long, so that's why we've always just done marketing and events, but I don't know if any of those are clear for
Actually-
anybody.
Say
Yeah.
that again, it's,
So you can use it for tourism marketing, so you don't have to be holding an event, as long as you're marketing some sort of tourist
okay.
marketing,
Versus an
whatever that
actual
may be.
event.
We
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, so there's that category, and then the other category is the marketing and operations of the special events and festivals designed to attract tourists. So yours would be, because you're only marketing an event, you're not a marketing tourist in general, but in the past, we've just said, hey, if it's marketing, it's marketing, if it's events, you put it in events.
Right, well, and that's
but-
what we do. So we submitted 3.
Okay.
We submitted for the Seagull Festival, which was an event, which
Yep.
covers marketing and operations of that event.
Yep.
Then we submit the Explore Port Orchard portion, which is strictly marketing, you know? And then we'd also submit the VCB portion of it. So that's why we fill out 3 projects, and those 3 projects are evaluated separately, or I could just ask for one big lump sum, but it, you know, I break it down.
Yeah, so I gotta
I can
So-
you see the big
question mark in the box over my head. Okay. So you're doing an event,
Mhm.
okay, Jingle Bell Run, okay, and you are doing tourism because you are bringing people in that don't live here. That's clear.
Right.
It's easy to use an example. It's very picture optic. And then marketing is notifying people of the event, reaching out outside of just Port Orchard, okay? And, because now you got marketing
the
options.
No.
event is the I don't think we needed a third one up there. I think when you said event, you meant
It's
marketing
either one
and
or the other,
operations.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
It's
so get
one
rid
or
of
the
event,
other.
we're just dealing with
Yes.
this,
I
okay?
just didn't know how,
Yeah.
you know, do you want to shorten it? I mean, it, but
Yeah, so no matter what, it is an event, and it's the tourism and marketing of that event, and then you've got marketing and operating, yeah, kind of this little
Now,
duplication of,
but see, that's where but by combining the marketing and operations of an event, you only have to submit once, because conceivably, I could go, I need this money to market the Seagull Festival, Seagull Festival,
Right.
and then I need this money to
operate
operate
it,
the
okay.
Seagull Festival. Where the operations and
Yeah,
where the
and I think that's
RCW,
where I'm getting confused. It's like, so do I really need 2 or do I just need 1?
no, as long, well, it depends
Well,
what
I
you're
would say
asking.
you-
No, you only need one.
I would say you
Okay.
only need one, as long as
Yeah.
on the application you break out, this is the dollars for marketing, and this is the event. Does that, or do we care?
So, so in other words, we would want to know the budget of the total event and the portion would be devoted for marketing.
Right, I think only because, and this is just throwing stuff on the table, that sometimes the different organizations could potentially go together and market, like I think you've done it through Visit Kitsap, and whenever you've done that, multiple marketing by everybody kind of throwing in a portion and more than one entity gets represented, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And then you have your individual specific events that you put on that are separate, cost-wise and/or funding request.
Yeah, because the way the RCW breaks it down is like Brandy said, event, marketing and operations, which is the one category, and then strictly the marketing side, which is the second category. Right, Randy? Yeah. And so I
I
guess
think that's what I've always asked for, is just the marketing side.
And
So,
some people do both, and that's, it's like, which one is it? So once we separated those out, it became more difficult to say which category am I
Right,
in.
but-
Does that make it
some fall
easier
into
for
both.
you? I mean, could you conceive now saying, okay, I'm gonna ask for, I'm asking for $10,000 for marketing, I'm asking for $3,500 for the event. You could, does that make it easier for you?
I think so.
Yeah. Because it goes together. I
But
think-
she only needs to do one application.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be one, because one thing that we should differentiate is, and I'm following from the RCW that you provided, one is strictly tourism marketing or general marketing, which is what Visit Kitsap goes for.
Mm-hmm.
The other is marketing / operations of a specific event.
Which
So-
is where you would check your box.
Right, because we've dealt with
So-
that with this, with everybody going together, which I think is so great. Is part of the marketing is the different organizations can say, ooh, we get a bigger bang for our buck on our marketing by going together and breaking that cost down, and it gets out there. And then it also gives a greater presentation,
Right.
because one person can say, oh, they have all these events, and let's go to these three here, because it's all together on one.
So I think that would help make it clear. To
Yeah.
say, is it tourism marketing or are you marketing and operations of an event?
Yes. So those first two would change.
And they could do both, just different
Okay.
columns.
So I just have one more question regarding this. So if you do the marketing and overall, or operations of the event, do you still, does that require it has to be, 50 miles away and all of that? Does that stipulation still apply if it's marketing and operations versus tourism marketing?
They both apply, but that 50-mile radius is for when you're reporting it back to the state to try and identify how many people did you bring into the community from those dollars that you received. So
Yeah,
what I tried to educate and say, hey, if you have to report it and you don't spend it on that, then how are you gonna report what you did? So my education piece is to say, to save on your reporting, pulling your hair out, your advertising should be focused on bringing in 50, outside in.
And I think the ED Tourism Committee kind of said it's more of a 50-mile as you drive versus a 50-mile radius, because a 50-mile radius takes you in the
Past
Pacific
Bellingham,
Ocean.
past Bellingham.
Colony Bass.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a radius calculation. I don't think I have it here in this pile,
Always
but
got physical ones.
yeah. it
I mean,
was-
because we spend the night at Ocean Shores, and that's not 50 miles away.
Correct.
How do they,
Yeah.
what do they, so.
Yeah, so we defined it as drive miles.
Let's jump back for a moment. We'll come back to the application, but Brandy, do you have the projected revenue for 2018?
Yeah, so it's 190,000 for the biennial budget, and
95.
99,000 was allocated for this year.
Oh, okay.
So if my math is right, I think it's 91,000 that's available.
Okay.
Now, that is based upon a budget. Do we know how the actual, so far for this year, the income has been?
The treasurer could probably provide that. The more, he'll have a final one in February of 2018 that will finalize all of 2017's numbers. So he can probably give you an estimate, but we're halfway through a little over halfway through the year. So if his projection comes in lower the second half of the year, it's gonna skew everything off, and he's gonna prefer to hold off on any projections until we close out the year, which is in February.
But they've already said that this 90-some thousand, that's,
The 99 or the 91? Yeah, the 99's already been allocated.
Okay, so I think 91 is our working number. Is there a carryover or anything like that? Do you know? Okay.
There's probably a fund balance, but he hasn't. It's my understanding that the 190,000 did include the fund balance when we started our
Okay.
budget process in 2017. Or when we started in 2016, but became available in
Okay,
2017.
so 190 is our working number. Okay, so that's number 4. Let's jump back to the application then. So I think we're at the bottom of the page. Lorraine, we did agree with changing those two checkboxes on item 1.
So then I guess what I will kind of explain how I came up with why the application was changed from last year to this year. And what I did is I had taken the tourism promotion strategic plan that was adopted by the council, and in there's some guidelines. I don't know if guidelines is the correct word, but there's some language in here that was what was needed to be that. I think how to word this. There was some language in there that provided what each applicant should provide with the application, if that makes sense. So if you look at this strategic plan on page 10, under goal 3, it's all the way down at the bottom, you get on page 10, it says each organization submits a separate application, its project budget, statement of community economic benefit, and a projected attendance or reach. So, so basically that's what I kind of brought in here. So submits obviously a separate application, it's project budget. So what I found another jurisdiction did, instead of having them submit a budget, because some people get so confused on, what budget do you want? Do you want your whole, your whole P&L, or do you want the project? Do you want blah, blah, blah? Another jurisdiction had just put these that says, hey, here's your budget summary that says, here's your expenses, and then what are your other incomes of sources? And I think that the thought behind these, and I know the conversation did come up in the Economic Development Tourism Committee, was when they have these numbers, what they're trying to do is to make sure that applicants aren't using lodging tax as their full funding source for their event or their marketing. And I think in the past, we have seen numbers decline in coordinating with and partnering with other people and just relying 100% on LTAC. And so that's what the point of having to make sure that we capture the other sources. And we've always had other sources, it just looks a little bit different last year versus this year. So that's why those look, I thought maybe if this was a little bit better to put their numbers, to say, okay, is their event self-sufficient? A lot of people like the cruises budget and their practice in applying for lodging tax funds. They have a very detailed budget. It doesn't go into who they're advertising with or who they're, providing, porta potties to, but it just basically states, this is how much revenue we expect to raise. This is how we expect to raise the money. This is all of our expenses based on categories. This is the shortfall, and that shortfall is what we're asking for lodging tax. Not that every agency has to do that, but I thought maybe this was a little bit easier. I don't know. I'm indifferent how the committee wants to move forward with the application, but
I think it's really good. I think here you're pulling out the LTAP funds. Okay, what are you spending the LTAP funds for? Other funds in total, so we can get a better picture. I think, won't that be easier for folks to
Well, I have
do
a
that?
question, like with my budget for my event, it's very detailed and it has, our income, and then it lists all the expenses. And then down at the bottom, it just says, what the overall expense is, like 13% or whatever of the, total budget. So instead of filling this out, can you just say, please see attached budget? Do you have to fill this part out?
do that.
Because, it's kind of redundant.
It's hard, sometimes it's hard to pull out from another format and look for what we're looking for here.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I will say likewise is that when we get, sometimes the budgets, or whatever they're doing, the application is like this on the budget, and then you're going through trying to figure out where it's all coming from. So if it's on these two pieces of paper.
Okay.
I think
And
it's
these
easier for
titles
you
could
to
be anything.
Well, and
Okay.
that's what I was
Sorry, no, that's
wondering, it's confusing for people to call the same thing 2 or 3 different things.
Yes.
And so whatever, Brandy, you decide to do on the front, could it be here on the back? And maybe
Mhm.
instead of being, because in D, like somebody said, it says describe and be specific on what you would spend the requested funds on. I would like that to be the lead-in to the project budget summary. So maybe instead of 4 saying project, I'm
Oh, I
caught
see what
up-
you're saying, that's kind of redundant,
Project
yeah.
budgeted summary,
No, but I don't think that's redundant because
Hmm.
what they're gonna do is they're gonna put down $15,000 for promotion. And that's not what, you wanna know what that
Oh,
$15,000
so the
is gonna be
15,000 is
spent
I'm
on.
going to
Oh,
be on
yes.
the
Yeah, so I
ferry.
think that D still needs to be there some way or another.
oh, I wasn't eliminating
Oh.
it all. What I was
Yeah.
trying to do is tie these two closer together.
So put this as 4A, put that D as a 4A. What are you gonna do with your money, and then also tell me how you broke it down?
So it's all
Okay.
together, your project, or
Okay.
using the language that are we calling it an event or a project?
Actually, I think Lauren has a good point. You could put D underneath this table.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what,
Mhm. Just tie them together somehow.
and I think you could move the other income, Brandy, above the expenses. So this, because that's part of your projected budget. Just do the
Other income first, and then
income
expenses
first, and
second.
use the same columns, LTAC, other.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, that's what that is, yeah.
And you've got this as number 2.
Okay, so we're gonna eliminate this, because this is what you're requesting, this is other funds.
Okay, so you're eliminating
Mm.
other income? Sorry.
No, I don't
Because
think-
you know what it is?
No,
I don't- I don't-
no.
She eliminated
So I think it still
The
needs to be,
table.
it still needs to be a pure income.
But first, under 4, you're gonna have the income first.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have expenses.
So you're just
Oh.
grouping them
So it looks
together
like a P&L.
under-
Yeah, so 4A
yeah.
will be other income and then expenses. Or do you want
Just format.
income instead of other expenses?
Okay, so the other income in my mind was, this is where you list your partnering. Say, hey, we're partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and blah, blah, blah. So that's
Or we-
the same thing
Or
that
we
you
got
guys are
funding
going
from this
Okay.
Yeah.
or from
So
the county or whatever.
That's where the other income comes, okay.
So I wasn't quite.
Or it should just be income in general, right?
I'm wondering if you should just say income as opposed to, yeah.
So if it
It's
says
other- It's
fundraising,
other than LTAC.
Yeah, income
Yeah.
other than LTAC.
And that's basically, that's what it,
Maybe that's
Okay.
what you want to say.
Or
That's
in your
what I-
income, you could include how much is LTAC.
yeah, because you want income first and then your
Yeah.
expenses.
Yes.
Yeah, or you
Yes.
could, and you could actually even put LTAC
Yeah.
in the line so they know that.
So-
Or you could just keep these, we're saying keep these same
Yeah.
columns here
Yeah.
for your income.
Mhm.
And I think the most important row is the total cost for B to see like, but you're right, like the categories of expenses, we could say that they're suggested. You're right that promotion may be the one that they definitely need. But these were suggested, for example, they may not have travel costs or something.
Right, I was gonna say, I wouldn't have anything in travel, or I
Yeah.
wouldn't have anything in.
And it's okay,
Which is
and that's
our-
okay. It's
yeah.
like you would
Yeah.
leave it
Well, we can
blank.
replace those with
But
whatever
you
the
don't.
committee wants
So,
to see
but when
pulled
you
out of
look
their
at travel, are
budget.
we looking at mileage for things that you are doing? And is that, because mileage is a big deal.
I don't know if anybody,
I figured-
that's,
Well, I think if you were fathoms, you might have some sort of travel
For the
cost.
parade.
I don't
They
know
do
how
for the
they would
parade.
calculate that.
Oh, okay, so you're not looking at
But,
the mileage that you spend going either through
Unless you're looking
John
for
and getting all
funding
the
for it.
promotional
Yeah.
marketing materials and
So I would
advertising.
honestly just have a whole bunch under other.
mhm.
I
I think
mean,
that's
because that's
fine.
porta potties and that's,
Mhm.
rental
Sanitizer.
canopies.
Well, and that's the
and-
administration. I mean, if you look at, it's got rent, janitors, utilities. I mean, for us, for the VCB operations, we'd have, like, I think it's 4% of our salaries would go there, and the other would be other funds. So I think we're probably the only ones that would use more than one column
Yeah.
on here.
So-
'Cause-
Along with what you were saying, Matt, what I can't figure out is how is the other funds column different from what's going to be over here?
Other
Are
income.
we
Yeah.
asking people to do that twice?
over on.
Yeah, because that almost
Yeah.
looks like income
What
under
page?
the
Oh.
expense
did it
section.
But, so I love this chart here,
Mhm.
but when it says other funds, aren't we asking
Well-
for that up here?
No, it's almost the breakdown. Say our payroll is $60,000 a year, and so for us, and I'm just gonna pull numbers out of the air. $10,000 a year is what we spend on VCB operations. That's answering the phone calls and blah, blah,
So
blah,
that would
whatever.
be, the total would be here.
Our other, yeah, so the total would be 10.
Okay.
You know, and then I turn around and say, you know, we're getting 4 from the city in LTAC funds, and 6,000 is coming from
Other sources.
other
Yes.
places.
But
Yeah.
wouldn't you be putting that up here too?
No, because that would be if I were getting LTAC funds
Income.
from the.
Sponsorship grants,
Yeah, that'd be-
donation fees.
If
so
they
this
applied
is
with the
different.
county,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I just want to
Okay.
make sure it makes sense to you guys.
Yeah.
That's really, really important.
Yeah, because if we're, you know, we don't get any money from the county other than a couple $1,000 for Explore Port Orchard, and so, you know, we don't have any other income listed on here except for on that particular project.
Should
But
those
for
words
us
be
and for
different?
Fathoms, though, we've got sponsorship.
And yeah, and then all you have to do is put sponsors.
So,
Yeah.
But actually, if they want to know, yeah, you just put
Your
sponsors.
source would be
So,
miscellaneous sponsorships.
right.
Mhm.
Or sponsorships from the community.
Sponsors,
or whatever.
donations,
Miscellaneous.
Okay.
in kind, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And in kind's a hard one.
yeah.
I mean.
But, you know, if you get 40, 50 cases of water from,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, reduces your cost, yeah.
So does city LTAC funds, does that make sense? And then other funds there, does that other fund need to be renamed to your expense?
Where are you?
Still at the
Oh,
top,
here.
yeah, there, so, because you've got other funds here, other income, so is there another, or is it clear?
it makes sense to
Okay.
me. One thing the county did, which I completely forgot about and missed, is they had a bid conference on Monday or Tuesday. And I don't know, I mean, because I know that one of the things that they talked about here was getting the word out more. You know, and if you guys did a public announcement or two, and we blasted it on Facebook saying anybody interested can come to City Hall on Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock in the City Council chambers and learn about the process.
I actually went to that, it was on Wednesday.
Did you?
at 10
Yeah.
o'clock.
Oh, good.
And there were 5 of us there. That's exactly what they did. They
Mhm.
walked us through the process and made sure, see if anybody had any questions. And then they have a site where they post the rating sheet on and all the, all the information.
Mhm.
So we can definitely hold, I have probably about 6 more people this year that are on the list to notify them than last year. So that's what we usually do, is blast it through an email distribution list and say, here you go. Some people respond and say it's too complicated, I'm not gonna do it, or they
But this
don't
gives
have
them a
time.
chance for you to explain to them that it's not that complicated.
But there was only, I think there were 4 or 5 people there and me. And so that's a lot of work to do that too.
Yeah, I guess I had that on my calendar, but it just came and went. But I mean, for the people that have done it before, it's.
But it's a nice PR thing. I mean, I thought it was really nice
Mhm.
that they did that.
Well, and it's also the fact that they did it, and if you needed the information, you could have been there.
You
again.
could have been there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
that's-
It'll make council
All you
be
all you can do is
happy.
put it out there.
Okay, so are we clear on section 4 of the application?
So I'm gonna put income first. It's gonna say income other than lodging tax, right? That's the title.
Yes.
And it's gonna be first. And then underneath that is gonna be the expenses. And then underneath that, I'm gonna have describe and be specific on what you would spend the requested funds on, correct? That'll be number 3
Yeah, because
underneath.
it really helps to know
Okay.
what it is you're getting.
So as far as the ABC, are those questions, I mean, I know here, it says we have to they have to describe how their project will provide a community economic development. That's out of the here. And then please describe how you will measure the impact your project will have on tourism or projected increase in tourism. Please be specific. So I mean, I don't know. So that one was taken off of another one.
Those seem like standard questions that we asked,
That's
but
part of the law.
how, would they be
Yeah.
standard to answer? Okay.
Yeah.
So they're
And then
not
describe
onerous,
your
okay.
project. So
Okay.
are we saying, so, because it's project, what do we want to call it? Oh, okay, overall event or project detail.
Yeah.
Because they can either do marketing or,
I think project detail in that context is okay for item 3 on.
So item 3 title is gonna be, you want event or
Event.
project detail?
Yeah, I think that's what Lorraine put up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Overall event or.
Oh, overall,
Overall
okay.
event or project.
Yeah.
So that really does say we want the big picture.
Yeah.
Okay,
there.
so I'll
You
change
can
it
put that there. Big.
And then, oh, okay, so, and then we'll just put, what was that title?
Do they really need to put that there? Well, I guess they
Which
do.
one?
It is
Yeah,
on
because
the
this
front
is
page.
where
Yeah.
they would put Seagull Calling Festival, or Authorization Foundation, or Jingle Bell Run.
Okay, that's right.
So it would just be, just put title, right?
Mhm.
Titles
You're the
make
one
sense?
filling
What
it
do you
out.
think?
What works for
Okay,
you?
no,
Yeah.
that makes sense, but I do, going back to this though, okay, if we are requesting this for an event, why do you need these boxes here?
Type of
Because
organization
down here,
or- Are you looking at that?
Funding requested for event or marketing. I mean, because over here, you're going to say
Because
what it's
that's an
for.
RCW requirement.
Okay, but over here, you have to say what it's for. So I mean, why?
It's government issue.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna
Well,
ask
because
you
they may
twice.
not say it's for,
Well, but they would. I
What do
mean,
you think we should put there? What would
I just have that question.
Okay.
I mean, because if I'm filling this out for an event, we all have events that we're doing this for. We're not, I mean, it's not specifically for supplies for our office. I mean, it's for an event.
Right.
So
Some people-
why is this necessary? Funding requested for
For
event
event
or
or
marketing.
We
I
do
mean,
get requests for
because-
marketing though that isn't a specific
Yeah,
event,
visit-
and we really struggle with
Yeah.
So,
that.
okay, give me an example.
Visit Kitsap will put in a presentation and application, and
They
they
didn't
want
give any specific
$12,000.
And we won't
Yeah.
know what it's gonna be spent on.
So their marketing, it's not, I mean.
Their general tourism
Yeah,
marketing
and it's not.
is what
And
they
they're not
do.
specific
They're not doing a
with how
specific
it's
event.
spent. It's been a
So
struggle.
basically, you could say that checkbox is just for them, but that's not quite
Okay.
true. It's people
But
like them.
you could.
Agencies like
We
this.
only have one,
So the next question is, you
We
could
have
be
two,
doing
well, Sport
event
Bergen would be
and
the same thing.
you could be, you
Yeah.
could mark both
Yeah.
boxes.
You can only mark one
You can
box.
al- Oh, okay.
So I will make sure that's clear too.
Yeah,
Select one
that's-
or mark one. Because you,
Because with a
only
big
one box.
project, you could want, couldn't you want?
Yeah,
part of
so
your
what
money
you'd
go
want to do,
event
Brandy,
and part of
is
your-
call that event or operation or event marketing or
Yeah,
marketing.
we're changing it to tourism.
But I mean that
marketing.
checkbox,
Oh.
that checkbox
Yeah.
in particular. That one right there,
Mhm.
you can change that one, the name on that one too?
Yeah.
Yeah, both of
Yeah,
them be
okay.
changed.
Yeah, I'm
to
gonna
what's up
change-
there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
tourism,
Or something
marketing,
like that.
or
Yeah.
marketing and operations of an event. Those
Yes.
are now gonna be the
Yes.
two.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna put a little thing that says, please check
Choose
one.
They're more
Choose one.
explanatory than just
Yeah.
event or marketing.
It's just gonna be one. There's only a hint. You can use it. Gotcha.
Which helps. It's a
And
good,
it has-
it's a good way to start that.
So overall event
Um,
or project detail,
Mhm.
and then, and I'll just put title. Okay, and our funding. Okay, so that makes sense there. We're gonna move.
Income.
So then we're gonna put describe your, so this is where we would say describe your overall event or project, right?
Mhm.
Right, okay. And then I'll do the same thing there. Okay, so I'm gonna replace project with overall event or project.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Nice, thank you.
Okay, so would it be confusing if I remove the words consultant? Because not everybody's gonna be using consultant. What do you wanna look? Do you wanna see what is salary,
remove
what is
consultants,
admin, marketing, promotion, and maybe,
You could put consultants under personnel. And I think you mean personnel, not personal.
oh yeah.
But
Well, that's a good place for it, because
That
that
is
is,
personal.
that is staffing.
Yeah. Harbor Festival hires Holly James to run that.
I'm trying to think what other expenses.
Well, like, I don't,
I think
really, none of mine fall in any of these.
Okay, what are your-
I mean, they-
Personnel
because-
do.
No, you don't pay for personnel.
Are you getting a paycheck from
But
Arthritis?
I'm not asking, I wouldn't ask LTAC
So
to
you,
pay for
so
my
the
salary.
amount there is zero. The LTAC is zero.
Well, I
And
just
then-
wouldn't fill it in.
But other funds, you put it in under other funds.
Other
In
funds.
the middle column.
they want to know to make sure that, hey, do you have a way, a portion of this is to say, so if you only put 0 and you're not getting paid, and there's no administrative cost, then how are you holding an event when there's no administrative cost, or what's your goal of it? You know, they want to make sure that you're going to be self-sufficient in the future. And if you don't have personnel, if you don't
Do you
have.
feel uncomfortable putting that in?
So you wanna know how much I get paid?
No.
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
I know,
We don't ask
I know,
you what
yeah.
you get. I mean, what the, that's not.
You can just put an
that's
amount,
not-
Well,
nobody knows who's.
Salary.
It would be, you know, it would be a percentage of, you know, how much of the total payroll for the chamber is,
Correct.
it goes
Salary.
towards
Seagull context.
Seagull, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So visit Kitsap, because there's only one person on payroll, or there
Mhm.
might have been, there used to, it changes back and forth between a half-time,
Mhm.
full-time.
Did they answer
But yeah, they put their full
I-
salary.
I don't think I've
I don't
ever
know. I'm
answered
kinda
that.
feeling-
I don't think I've ever put anything in there.
I think I kind of always knew this because of being involved, but I don't know
Well,
that.
we've never asked this question before.
Correct.
This particular question before.
Do we have to?
Okay, yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
that's up to
Well,
the committee.
do we have, so if, but we want to know that other funds are helping. But what you're saying, it gets uncomfortable when we have to, I don't mind breaking out the LTAC funds. But the other funds, what are we going to even use that information for? Maybe we just need this other income.
Well, I think part of it is like
Resources.
if the city of Bremerton gives the Kitsap Harbor Festival $10,000 to put on, then they do. And all 10,000s of that, 10,000s, all that money goes straight to the consultant that puts it on.
You're not gonna give them any money because.
That's what
it's not gonna help
people
promote.
are.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to
that's-
prevent.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what they're trying to prevent. Is like, I need $15,000 and I'm gonna use it to pay me. You know, and you don't know any better.
So this is a way of.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
So it's a salary.
But you're not the only person that's working on the Jingle Bell Run that's paid, are you?
No.
In the
Right?
city of.
You just say no.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I mean, what's the total payroll of the Jingle Bell Run Foundation?
This question was not meant
Yeah.
to ask what any particular
No,
individual
uh-uh.
makes.
It's just
Um,
making sure that.
But it is one of the pieces of the bigger picture, like of their total budget, how much of it is
can it
for
be a
staffing.
percentage? So I would put, okay,
Well, then
if
we
you
could
want to know
figure it out, though.
salary, it would be
Yeah.
0% would be coming,
LTAC.
used from LTAC for personnel or salaries. 100% of other funds would be used.
I think
guess-
I'd leave them blank, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
If, you
I
know,
would
you
choose
can basically
blank.
say, if you're using city LTAC funds, how much other, what am I trying to say? What else is paying?
Okay,
So-
let me give you an example, because this is one that I have heard from council that they have problems with. It's the way that Concerts by the Day is funded. How much of that funding is coming from LTAC or is expected to be paid from LTAC versus the other sources, including sponsorship? So that's one of the things that
Because they put on
council
multiple
likes to
functions.
know. Oh, there is that other aspect. Is that something that draws tourism? That's another part of it. But the first part of it is how much of that expense is now being asked for just from LTAC.
Okay, so here's my thing. I am not asking for anything other than money for marketing.
Yeah.
If I'm not asking for anything other than $500 for marketing, I do not feel the need to tell you how much of my overall budget is for my salary or administrative
I would
fees.
agree.
I agree.
with
So
what you think.
I would feel like I could leave that blank and just put something under marketing.
What if
But see, I think I'm totally different than
Well,
Fathoms and, because I'm not going to rely on LTAC to cover other expenses because I have sponsors. You know what I mean? And
Well, we don't want to make this complicated.
Right.
And we already have, I mean, kind of going back to, we already are
so show me
getting
where we're at. We're here. Why
what
did
other
you want to
funding
get
is needed.
this?
I think you raise a really good
This
point, and I don't know
consultants
how
thing
we're
is
going
going
to
up.
use
Personnel, yeah.
this if we're already getting this up here.
Well, that and the fact that, I mean, if you're asking for payroll, that should be spelled out in the new 4D, right? Like when you break down the
Right.
detailed
I
description.
need help paying for staff to come and attend the
Yeah, and so
all-day
it should be
event.
broken down there.
Right.
And if you're not doing it, if you're not using it for payroll, then you're not
Yeah.
using it for payroll.
because Fathoms is totally volunteer, right? They don't pay
Mhm.
anyone.
Mhm.
So,
So what should we do?
We could,
Or you can get rid of this and ask them to provide a budget of your,
So then we're back to the problem that we were before. We're trying to provide a format so we can get the same information from
well,
everybody.
let's back up. I think what we really want is the total cost. How much are you expecting from LTAC? And how much of it are you paying yourself?
And that's the questions asked on 3, right? 3 amount being requested and the total
Yeah.
project cost.
Yeah, so we may not need,
Yeah, if it's in there, overall event project detail.
See, that's all I remember it ever being.
That's what that's what the health ever been.
And that's what, you know, I mean, like I said, I would have filled in there, I'm only requesting $500, but it's gonna cost me $15,000 to put on my event.
Right.
I'm only asking.
So it's just
$500.
maybe the questions redundant.
And then, that's why I ask, because over here, I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna spend it.
Right.
Over here, I'm gonna use that $500 for wrap cards and posters and ads in Outdoors Northwest magazine. Of course, that would be more than $500,
Yeah, so-
but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so item 3 it appears to be being duplicated with 4.
With 4,
Without any detail, but
Yeah.
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 let's go back.
But do we?
Because
I mean, I know like
obviously-
Cabins of Fun, they have travel expenses because they keep the float or whatever somewhere else.
Yeah.
But they break that out.
Yeah.
Do they? Yeah. It's funny, it's like we're almost, these expenses are
Overthinking.
almost, or they're tailored for 1 or 2 applicants and not all
And not
applicants.
all.
So is that particular piece come out of this?
I don't
no,
remember. I
what
don't
they
think it
wanted
is
was,
now.
project budget.
Which is,
Could be anything.
I
Could
think
be,
it's the bigger picture. How much of your total are you expecting to be paid from LTAC,
And it-
basically?
Okay, but doesn't that get answered right here?
In 3, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that and this 4D, where you want to know the details.
Yes.
Well, not the percentage, but it breaks it down.
How about
Yeah,
if we just,
D.
how about if we
Yeah.
just do describe and be specific on what you would spend the requested LTAC funds on?
Mhm.
So we're sort of adding that in there. And maybe we should just try it. I'm so afraid we're gonna end up with something really obscure again, because I really like some sort of guideline, but let's try it.
well, what if you gave examples? And
example,
list, for example.
Staff,
Yes.
supplies and materials.
But not have it to where, because to me, this looks like I have to
Stuff you
fill
have to
this.
fill out,
If it's
yeah.
here, I'm gonna have to fill that in.
And it's gonna take a lot of time.
And that's why people could look at this and go, absolutely not. I'm not even gonna ask.
I know.
so
yeah.
I can say, so where we have here, we can say, I can make some sort of comment that says, please complete the
Where's your
flow
year?
chart
What year
or
are you on?
provide.
She's looking at the
The
expenses.
expenses
Okay, you're
part.
here on this,
Yeah.
okay.
So I could say, either complete the chart below or provide a detailed budget.
Right,
And
or
the de-
attached detailed budget.
Okay,
Does that work good?
okay. Yeah, or,
Then you can put C attached.
fill out, the columns that are appropriate for you, or,
That's a good idea.
Applicable.
Okay.
So they don't have to put
Very
something
good.
in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So should we still have them attach it or don't and just say, please fill out the applicable?
I think if we have them attach it, we're gonna end up
Oh,
where we
yeah.
were before.
And then they
don't
don't, and then you got a copy, like,
Okay,
it's crazy.
so just fill in,
Complete applicable
yeah,
columns.
Yeah.
there we go.
yeah,
It's really rows.
Rows?
yeah.
Columns
yeah,
and rows.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
which
row.
are.
I was thinking ROSE.
Lot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking about my roses.
Wait a minute, who's Rose?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Then I'll remove
that
consult.
way, people don't think they have to fill the whole thing out.
Gotcha.
Because
Correct.
really, people feel that way. If there's a blank
True.
space, they
Yeah.
want,
Supposed to
they,
fill it.
yeah, we're trained to fill in.
NA.
blank
That's
A,
really
yeah,
good.
NA.
That's really helpful.
Okay.
Do not
Okay,
like
because the meat of what we want is right here.
Yes.
And this description. Okay.
Okay. Whew.
And then these, again, were just two. So does the project have the ability to increase its revenue? I don't know if that's,
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. It was just a sample from the other.
The
one.
answer to that
Can you
is
raise your
yes.
sponsorship
Well, yeah,
rates?
I mean, you're gonna put
Well, it
no
says charging
sugar.
admission,
I mean,
increasing
everyone could
fees.
probably,
Is that necessary? And then the other one is, if this is, the second one is really the one that I did take out of here, well, not the exact word, but if applicable, explain how the proposed program, project, or event will endeavor to become self-supporting in the future. So in here, they say they want some sort of
Okay, can you tell me
Plan.
the line number you're on?
Oh,
Yeah.
under other, in,
Other financial information, okay.
So the first part, I don't know if that's relevant or not.
Okay, so for the second part, I would say, well, just don't offer me the money.
Well,
I
they're
mean,
trying
how
to get
do they-
away from
They're
people-
trying to get Fathoms to pay for themselves. And because of
Specifically-
that, they're putting this out for everybody because they don't want to just point at Fathoms.
Well, and they want to be able to say, can you grow? Can you become self-sufficient?
They actually want everyone to become self-sufficient like they feel the Saints.
So that you
is.
can continue to expand the program
Exactly.
and draw more tourism type
Mhm.
events.
So
into
for
the
myself,
town.
I could possibly say here, there is a potential to increase sponsorship dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they want a
They
definite
want to-
answer, again, if they're
I
looking,
think-
if you want
yes.
something there.
So is
They
there,
want to plant the seed that people should try to not depend on the LTAC for their operation.
so is there a better way to verbalize this? What, in the aspect of the question?
What are you trying to do to wean yourself off LTAC?
Well, that's.
No, yeah, so
what they
what
want.
actually is in your
Um,
project analysis that allows you to generate more revenue, needing less from LTAC to open that up to, and that's too long, but somebody's got a way of
Right.
consolidating that. So I think the question for the council is, what do you really want? I mean, you're wanting to,
So the goal,
That's-
event funding goal,
Lena.
number, strategy 5H, on page 11, says phase out funding for events that are not accomplishing their stated goals or that can self-fund.
so we don't talk about that.
No.
And we don't, so do we want to start to, if that's what the council's asking for, are we agreeable with what they're asking for is logical and acceptable? Then the next is if we're going to implement that, how are we going to
Mhm.
communicate that so people know this is the expectation, you know, whatever it is. You've been doing this for 20
I
years.
agree. Because the thing that I'd hate to see is have us sit around the table and say, well, it says right here they can raise rates, so we don't need to give them any money, right? I mean, I don't want this to be used as a paragraph
To evaluate them by.
to say, they can raise, they don't need our money, they could get it
Well,
from supply.
And
If I tried
also would like
harder and
to
asked
see
more
that
people.
when we do this, that the change that begins to happen
Mhm.
and can be involved in what we're talking about now is how do we get more organizations or more people interested in doing things here that draw more tourism into the town?
Mhm.
Because I think each year, we've been on these committees for a while, it's kind of repeatedly the same. That is to be expected. But we love when new one comes in and we go, ooh, here's somebody else doing, I mean, look what you've done. I mean, really.
What if
Yeah.
the paragraph, I mean, it basically started out and said, it is the goal of the city to, for each and every event to become, basically what it says, become
Well, do we have
self-sufficient.
to
So-
state it? Because
I
what I'll do is
think
I'll be providing this plan to
So,
applicants.
I think in that, right there, just, if you state that, it's the goal of the city to, broaden the use of the funds and
Phase out the funding for events.
to
that are not-
phase out the funding for events that are blah, blah, blah. Can you, explain to us how you may be able to do
Can you
something?
provide a projected plan of how you
How you could do that?
can,
But
But that's-
the only thing about that is, I don't know, I'm sitting here, I'm all for self-sustaining. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but that's not the culture here. We funded things, projects, very good projects, and in some ways, there may not be any way they can become totally self-sustaining. They'd have to charge attendance fees or something like that. So is there a balance in here?
Right.
So that I mean, this is what we want to spend them on. When something new comes along, great, we'll deal with it, but we're not getting new projects
so how do we
beating the
encourage
doors
new?
down. I would rather shift our focus on encouraging new projects rather than doing.
Continual.
If we ask for a plan, there's no way to monitor that, there's no way to follow up on it. And everybody wants to be self-sustaining, but a lot of our projects, they need, it's the city's part, that's part of being a partner, I think. So I don't know if there's a balance.
But I
in
think
that.
there's.
And I'm gonna have to
you're-
go for these things.
You're
too,
bringing
right?
both of those things up, but I also think there's a very strong feeling from having been on this committee for a long time, is it would be really great. And it was great to see you come in with the Jingle Bell Run, you know, to broaden the horizons of what people could do, that we get stayed in what we've been doing. So, okay, we're just, nobody's gonna run this tape one more time.
Yeah, I think that it just plants the seed to get them to think about. Maybe
Do you think you should be on the guidelines and not maybe ask a question?
Actually, I think
I don't care about that. I don't have a.
I would eliminate the second part where, if applicable, explain how blah blah will become self-supporting.
So you still want.
I would eliminate that, but I think, as Matt suggested, if you had a sentence saying, council would like to encourage events to become self-sustaining, have you considered things such as charging admission? Just have the question there, and just, they can say yes or no, and that might plant a seed. For example, I know the City Museum has considered $1 admission to get in, but on the other hand, they just want people to get in. They want people to come by, so they don't want to charge anything. So yes, they've thought about it, and they figure if the $1 is keeping someone from bringing all their kids in to see the museum upstairs, it's not really bringing in any revenue.
I love the first part of your question. Maybe the second part would be, what are the challenges or the barriers in becoming self-sustaining? And maybe we as a group would learn more about what those are. So it's still putting it out there, but in a way that they can help educate us on the challenges of doing that. I mean, I can think of lots of challenges.
And I think this is big, because in all the years I've been doing this, we've not had this discussion. Because if we want to grow tourism, we have to continue to expand out, because it becomes staid. And everybody, well, that's another, yeah, we did that every, yeah,
But I think that'll create natural competition
Yeah.
though. And then by sort of nature, it'll sort of work itself out, I think, without us putting pressure on these
But I
small
think it
projects.
also puts a good message out, because some people think, well, we can ask the city for our concerts by the bay, because their funding was flattened by the county. The county used to support it, and they feel that sponsors are already being asked for lots of things. They may say, we can only do half the concerts, they have to be sponsored by companies. But
Of
that's,
course.
because,
and
yeah,
I
and
only
then I
mentioned
think-
that example not because I don't like the concerts, but that is the example that I've heard other
Well, you have to use
council
it-
members
it's a very-
complain
But you have
about.
to use an example in order to come up
Right.
with a
They-
way. So
yeah.
how do we open the window that literally people go out and go to different places,
Yes.
other than counting on this, whether it's fast foods or whoever, that, maybe they'd like to sponsor because they're a portion of it.
And it's good that we keep the question of, can you operate with reduced funding, yes or no? Definitely keep that in there. I think we're done with the application.
What about the JLARC requirement? Or I shouldn't say.
That's right from the state.
Number 5.
But this,
They're required to provide us projected numbers. in
so wasn't there something in here about additional guidance on how to come up with those numbers?
In here?
Yeah.
I don't recall that, but it doesn't mean.
So I'm so sorry that I have to go. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. It's fun to be everybody, and Sheila, it's nice to welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you on board.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
And it says require effective and useful state reporting. Develop a template reporting form and hand out the methods of reporting and tracking. And then modify the application to require reoccurring events to provide prior year reporting data in their application. So I guess I'm supposed to put their prior year's report. Well, this, I took it as. Where's it at? I took it as, this is the form that they have to fill it out. They do the, and then they can provide their prior years. Oh, and then the prior years, I just use this report.
But I don't think that's
here.
specific. The big sheet isn't specific enough.
Oh, that's right, I can
If they're
export.
private, that needs to become an attachment to their application, then, the JLARC report.
Yeah, that's true. Where's that?
So you want 5
Modify the application to
revised.
require reoccurring events to
I
provide.
don't want
prior
it,
years
but I
reporting
think-
I mean, you
data.
think it should include more information?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And maybe if you don't do a bid conference, maybe you do an award conference.
So then I
And you-
attach last year's reporting.
Oh, to explain who was awarded what and what?
Well, no, that would give you an opportunity to kind of go over this a little bit, or to go over, we'd really appreciate it if you guys could wean yourself off, and that's the time when you collect the appropriate insurance documents and, and stuff like that, and explain this form, because it's, that's such a made-up number. That's why our numbers are 3 times the,
Okay. Well, I think it's easier for me,
but,
with the numbers.
Because you have
Because I
applicants, you
have,
registrations.
we have registrations,
Yeah.
and I can pull zip code reports, and
Yeah.
that is actually very easy for me
yeah.
to do.
But
I can
how
understand
many people spend the night? Can
Yeah,
you
well-
determine how many spend the night?
Well, I could, but our national office now is in charge of all the surveys that go
Mhm.
out after the event, and I cannot edit that survey at all anymore to include, did you spend the night in Port Orchard, if so where, that kind of thing. I
Yeah.
can't do that.
See, and that's the type of information that we have to make up, is we have to
So-
report how many overnight stays and how many paid lodging stays there were. So if somebody
Unless I
comes
talk to
in,
Comfort Inn and say, hey.
but they
you know,
haven't been
there's-
They
particularly
don't,
forthcoming.
they probably don't even track it.
No,
They
Yeah.
do every now and again, but it's not accurate, and it's only if they provided them a form. So last year, they didn't provide any form, and then the year before, they did, but it was just, I think they only had like 20 people overall the whole year that they were able
being
to track.
small, it's easier for me to just say, how did you hear about them?
Yeah.
I get tracked, that's so easy, but
Mhm.
a hotel, they're not.
well, maybe we just need to take your numbers, and if you tell us that 50% of the people that stayed at your hotel, or at your bed and breakfast, were from outside of X number of miles, then we can just turn around and say, her numbers are 50% or 40% or 30%, we can extrapolate those onto,
And to be honest, I consider, in reality, Seattle, if you had to drive
I
around, I
agree,
consider that 50
absolutely.
miles, because if you get people coming over from
Mhm.
there, that's,
Yeah.
that's a demographic we really, really want. We want
Yeah,
people
we want
from
people
Seattle
from-
to
right.
say, you can walk on that boat, you can get on another boat, you can
Yeah,
bring your car.
and so, if we had a baseline, and we could use Cedar Cove as a baseline.
But I think the demographic of the Cedar Cove Inn is it is more of a tourism
That's true.
lodging than Days Inn and Comfort Inn. They're picking up people that are coming in, whether it's for the shipyard,
Yeah.
and the way they keep track of that is.
Take happy.
The last thing I'd like you to look at is the rating sheet. Council would like us to fill out scores, they want to see numbers.
And these right here were straight out of here. So
Now,
all these questions.
I'm not sure
here-
they needed to see these, but
No,
these
I just
specific
did a,
questions. So glance at these, see if these make sense as how we would be evaluating the applications. And
Oh, so this is going to the people that actually fill out.
This is-
Go to the
they
city
apply.
council.
When they
Yes.
apply,
People that
you're gonna
apply.
rate their application.
No,
Oh, no.
well, this is for the evaluators, right?
Yes,
But it goes to the city council, you said.
Yes.
it's a public record and I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
ask for it.
So there'll be one of these for every applicant.
Applicants could ask for their own evaluations.
So they can ask for all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said,
But
I just threw
it
this
is
together.
designed basically to assign a number that council would see that it's been quantified.
So if they got 10, because it's 1 through 10, or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever it is, I don't
It's
know.
like 14
If they got 80
categories,
points, then you would
yeah.
expect that they would get 100% funding. If they got 40 points, then it would be expected that they'd probably get 40%
Well,
funding.
no.
I don't know if that's true or if that's how.
Is that what the
but-
council's saying?
No,
Oh,
no, that was just.
Yeah,
They
because I
just,
don't
they
think-
didn't like that there weren't any,
Supporting documents.
So they're looking for why we chose to give you
Yeah.
1,000 and you 10,000. Is
In
that
a,
why?
in a written form, correct.
That's what this is for.
they didn't see any reason not to have a score sheet. So
So that's going to be difficult. I mean, we're
they
really
did
going to
not,
have
they
to
did not
watch.
direct that it has, your scores would determine. They just wanted to have a score sheet as a backup.
I would be real curious
But
that rather than, and I haven't studied this, okay, so I don't have a problem filling it out. I would like the applicant to answer these questions maybe. If you change it and you say that, does this cause the applicant to think about
Well, that would be.
Oh, actually, so we include it with the
Yeah, you
application,
should
say,
include it with
this is
that.
how you'll be evaluated.
Yes,
Okay.
so that,
Okay.
can we make that become at least the beginning of, this is what the city's expectation is, and have you as a group, because I think we get caught in a rut, have you, your group thought about,
Okay.
oh my goodness, are we actually creating what it is we think we're creating?
Okay, for
Now,
example.
fire.
Okay, for example, so marketing encourages overnight stays in the city. Okay, so for myself, I would say, yes, in my ad in Outdoors Northwest, I put a, use discount code XYZ to receive 20% off at the Comfort Inn,
But,
right? And if, right, is that what?
Mhm.
But, I mean, not everyone is going to be able, maybe other people don't do that. I mean, I've done that before to try to track as far as advertising. Like, use discount code ONW to receive $5 off your registration fee. So I know, and then I look through my discount codes, and if that was used 5 times, then I know, well, that ad was pretty effective. At least 5 people that saw it did use a discount code. Now, that doesn't mean more people didn't see it. But
yeah,
maybe-
that's the danger of those, is because, that's the danger of this whole quantifying thing, is it's like, it's so hard to quantify, and if we start judging based upon your 5 people,
Right, but look at the next one. Marketing is through cooperative partners in statewide tourism promotion. Well, what does Fathoms do statewide?
Why do
Well,
they
that-
I mean,
take their
using
float?
them as an.
Yeah.
No,
but
that's
I
for
mean-
tourism
Oh, that's
marketing,
true.
so that would be Visit Kitsap. That's what does.
Yeah,
you're in that
category.
And then the top part would be event, which I'll match the application.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do one or the other for
Right.
the.
Gotcha. So then you don't want to give this to, say, Fathoms, because Fathoms wouldn't know what this
The bottom
would
one,
even
yeah,
was
they
But they do both,
referring
though.
to.
They do events and they do.
They would know by whatever they checked which category they would be
Okay.
evaluated on.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. It would be helpful to include this, but we could explain maybe to them that this is how their application will be evaluated. And then from the reviewer's viewpoint, how do you
So
guys
do you
feel
value-
about it?
Location.
Yeah, the questions are good, because I don't know
Okay.
that we've asked them. I mean, we have, but I think it's on one page that, see, because Sheila's, it's made you look and go, this doesn't apply. And so I think we all can get in that, this is what we do every year, this is the programs that put on, these are the events that happen, and where do we move into that category that says, maybe we've been doing this for 50 years, maybe it's time we looked at something else. I mean, how do we open that window?
So, okay,
Okay, so I'm gonna provide, I'm just gonna call it applicant evaluation sheet, I guess, or.
yeah, that sounds better.
And then it'll still have the organization so that they know that this is what it, and then I'll take out the score 1 to 10 and the rating aspect of it and just have.
Or you can even put in parentheses, to be filled out by reviewers, so they know they don't have to fill it out. Or you could say, like, for reference, this will be, no reference, this will be filled out by
Yeah, I'll
the
put it
people
right here
reviewing
in
your
bold.
application.
Reference only.
Yeah,
so.
they do not
To
need
be
to fill
filled
it
out, yeah.
By
So on the questions, I numbered the questions here, marketing and advertising. Number
Oh.
2 is marketing is through cooperative partners and statewide tourism promotions. Number 4, is that number 4?
well, yeah, that's sort of.
Includes marketing and supports cooperative marketing and partnerships. I think those
Oh.
redundant.
Yeah.
I'd like to scratch number 2
okay.
because, we
Good.
cooperate with Visit Kitsap and, that's really the only person, I don't even know who Visit Kitsap cooperates with on a statewide tourism promotion, because I don't think
Yeah,
there
and
is
that
any.
was in theirs, I can't remember why that, but it's, yeah, okay. No, what's this
Yeah,
one?
these all seem kind of redundant.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And like I said, I just took it right out of.
Well, yeah, because then the next one says cooperative marketing and partnerships.
And
It's the same.
includes and supports
cooperative-
regional marketing.
That's sort of, yeah. The last question I think is critical.
The last one's the main one, I think, right?
so maybe put that one first.
And so you could really reword the top ones, because even when you look at the top ones, event promotes growth potential or fills in shoulder seasons. That could apply to marketing too. Event/marketing promotes growth potential.
Can we word that different?
I don't know if we need to have.
Well, just the fact that, would everyone know what shoulder season means?
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. Busy or not
I
busy?
mean-
Yeah.
So it would be what,
I mean,
September
just-
through
Yeah.
yeah,
February?
I would be specific and not use that phrase.
Yeah.
So
But if-
September to
if-
February.
If we could reword the
Yeah.
questions, we could eliminate the
Yeah,
entire
that's
bottom
September.
section.
Yeah.
Okay, so just have one
You can
questionnaire.
just have
that
one
makes sense.
questionnaire because most of the above questions
Yeah.
could apply
They're all
To the bottom.
repetitive.
to marketing.
Okay, so,
An event contributes to local culture.
And what is our local culture?
Can we delete
Seagulls,
that?
baby.
Can
Well,
we?
I mean-
Can we delete that one? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
I don't
but
know what, well, I
What
think
does that
everybody's
mean?
gonna, yeah. What
yeah.
do you want?
So that's how I
Yeah.
read this, is like, okay,
Yeah.
what do they mean by that?
Or if you wanted to go natural, if you wanted to include it in event, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Whoa!
Let there be light.
Event leverages the city's natural resources / cultural and surroundings, or, local
okay.
culture and surroundings.
But,
You could throw that in there.
yeah, I mean, when I look at that, I'm thinking that we're on the water, we're the proximity. I don't know that this explains it very well, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend just scratching local culture,
okay.
Yeah.
unless someone really likes it.
No.
Okay.
Well, and then event accomplishes self-funding. So, but we're not asking them to be totally self-sufficient because they're filling this out. So you aren't really accomplishing self-funding.
Event.
It-
Yeah. that one
Attempts
needs
I
to
mean,
go.
instead of
attempts?
Not
Attempts.
accomplishes.
Yeah, it's-
Addresses? No?
Yeah, accomplishes. I mean, everyone would get a
Or
zero.
I would
Yeah,
use the word
exactly.
attempts.
Yeah.
That's
attempts is a
Everyone,
good word.
Everyone gets a zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, you could just scratch the question.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah,
Or everyone would get a zero.
percentage, or, no, yeah, it doesn't, it's not
I think
asking a
if we,
question.
I think Brandy, if you still have the sense of whatever it is in the application itself, we will be planting the seed of self-sufficiency. I'm not sure it needs to be in the evaluation.
But I think somewhere that needs to be articulated very clearly, that the lodging tax funding is now being scrutinized from a level of encouraging and supporting the organizations that are moving towards being self-funding. Because I want to think that opens a window to say, okay, so we've been doing this for 30 years and we all enjoy it here in the community, but what are we actually doing that generates what the city's requiring, lodging tax funds coming in?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and over here, we decided to scratch this, if applicable, explain how the proposed program will become so, and we're going to leave the yes or no up here. So what if you put a box in here that's a highlighted box that says, the purpose of,
Yeah, that's what.
You
I
know,
think
Mhm.
The words from in here.
right,
Yeah.
and like you said, I mean, they're going to get this, but who's really going to read all of it?
Right.
But if you highlight it, and it's right there in the middle of the page, and it's in a box, a bold box, I don't know, is that what?
Because because we have, if that's a direction we need to move in, and then more than that, where we can get real staid in what we do instead of becoming more creative and reaching out and expanding what we want to happen here. The familiar is great, but also you want to see that take, can we get, 3 or 4 or 2? Maybe every year we got one new something coming in that would still brought people in here. Yeah. I think we just get set.
Does that make sense to you?
I think so.
Right, okay, you'll be able to pull out a magic
Yeah.
sentence.
Both.
Okay.
We'll take
Both
our red
Brandy-
pens to the revision.
Both Brandy and Carrie can make some amazing sense out of ramblings.
Try.
So are you okay with the others? Any others that we want to cross
So
out?
I crossed off the duplicate, so we're only gonna
Yeah.
have one. And we took off the culture one, and then we took off,
You're gonna reword the in shoulder season.
yeah, yeah.
We'll put September through
And then
February.
everything else, I think,
Yeah,
is,
just-
And then I'm not sure, we're gonna take out the self-funding because we're gonna have that elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
That one goes off, okay.
And I think then there's an opportunity too for people to really stop and think about the shoulder season. You know, we just
Yeah.
dependent on the summer and whatever.
You know, it's interesting though, because when Patty said at the Thompson meeting, when she came and spoke, she said that people need to advertise when visitors are looking. You know, it's like when you're thinking to go to the ocean, you're going to be looking, if I'm going to the ocean next month, I'm going to be looking now. You know, so I mean, I don't know how much emphasis can be put on shoulder season advertising versus shoulder season events, you know.
Well, I tell you what, the Arthritis Foundation has us really talking it up now for the Jingle Bell Run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are pushing it.
Because this is when people are looking for
earlier
runs.
and earlier.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, participants aren't thinking about doing a run in December. Right now, they're thinking about, oh, it's hot outside and let's go do something, go to the water or whatever. They're not thinking about, yeah, I think I'm going to register for the Jingle Bell Run. You know what I mean? But they're wanting us to push it now. So it's,
I can see preparing for things months in advance because you have your print schedules and all that stuff. But it's like, even with social media, which I think is contracting the attention span and schedule, it's like, do you want to remind people a week before? I mean,
I struggle
or a
with that
day
all the
before.
time.
yeah.
I mean, and it's,
How
I
far
mean, even with
advance?
this National Night Out, they planned it in mid-July 18th. Then there was nothing until the day before. But
Yeah.
oh, I didn't mean to, I didn't mean to criticize. I was just stating a fact.
I'm a committee of one, so,
But,
yeah. And that's, I
But the
mean,
question is like, how much do you
Yeah.
need? If you do it every day, then people get bored. But it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
well, and we did start the page earlier, and then I actually created an email for this year and things like that. So it's just slowly, and see, it used to be where it was solely the police department. And then they're
It's a lot
trying to
bigger
get more
now.
people, they're trying to get more people involved. It's just like anything else. It's
I just
hard.
wish it wasn't so hot.
I know.
Do it in December.
Yeah.
Was there going to be a discussion on who can apply portion? I mean, that's pretty cut and dry.
Oh,
'Cause
yes.
I know that, and the set aside for
The set aside, I think
Newcomers,
we'll
what?
discuss at the evaluation meeting.
okay.
So who can apply?
I mean, it's cut and dry. I think.
It's sort of on the first of the part of the application, like,
So who must apply? All applicants for awards of lodging tax must apply either the lodging tax or through the municipality. Okay. So applicants may consist of convention and visitors bureaus, destination marketing. Oh, okay, so that's the red line. Okay, so RCW says that the applicants may consist of convention and visitors bureaus, destination marketing organizations, nonprofits, including Main Streets Organization, lodging tax associations, chambers of commerce, and additionally the cities or towns themselves. But what does that mean? In other words, all of the information available on the issue of eligible applicants is that they cannot be individuals or private corporations, or even individuals or private corporations working in conjunction with a nonprofit organization. These types of applicants
What was
would
that?
be.
Yeah.
So they can't be individuals or private corporations, and they can't be individuals and private working with a nonprofit.
I wonder why that is.
No, yeah.
So
For
what is
example,
an example of
okay,
that?
example is the Dragonfly.
Film
If they want to
festival.
do a film festival, they don't have their own nonprofit entity.
So they can't work with Fathoms, or they can't
And
work
so,
with...
yeah, so what we were looking at is,
We were
is
thinking-
why can't we
The chamber or
request,
another
or
nonprofit.
POPSA,
Yeah.
request funds
For a film festival
for a film festival.
and work with them.
If it's the nonprofit that's applying for it, then I think that's fine. But I don't know.
But that implied that
That-
a person
Oh, it
working
says
with a
or working
nonprofit
with,
could not.
Yeah.
Yeah. These types of applicants would be ineligible because they would be using funds to benefit themselves
Yeah.
and not
I can
increase
see
tourism
that.
to the city in a broader sense.
But can they, as a business, have a separate bracket for nonprofit events? Or
Do we have that, or can we get that?
I don't understand the question.
yeah, I mean, so you're they're a business
Mhm.
and they're revenue generating,
But they brought people into town. They,
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I
And
mean,
it was a
that-
great
and
event.
that's why
and it
we
brought-
would,
Yeah,
that's why we would like to
and the not,
partner or otherwise support them
Yeah. And the lodging facilities benefited from that. and
But
that
they
generated
would
money.
not be able to profit at all from it, though. By the way that sounds, there would
I
be
don't know.
no way that the Dragonfly could profit from it.
Right. Because it's promoting their business. And
But
that's
they
not the
don't.
point of tourism. is to
But they
promote.
should profit from it just by the fact that they are a portion of it. For example, when you do Jingle Bell Run, people
Well,
come
that's
into
true.
town. Okay, people come into town, you're not.
restaurants
But
profit
the
quite a
restaurants
bit.
profit, the stores profit, the businesses profit.
just-
It's an
Yeah.
But
outflow of it.
But that's an extension of the event.
Correct.
I'm not making any money off of the event. Well,
Right, and so they do,
Right,
they're
well-
gonna profit because they're involved in it as a profit.
So they need to
business.
they need to form,
yeah.
but then
Or they need
that's-
to work with a group that's going to take part of the promotional stuff that's not for profit, whether it's, I don't know. And it's okay that for-profit companies do something to generate more revenue coming into the city. It impacts more than just
And
them.
what we would like to do is, I mean, we marketed it as best we could, but we could do more. You know, if we had $200 for Facebook boosts, we could do a lot with, something like
You know,
that.
maybe we can follow up, because I know that council would like to figure out how we can support something like the film festival.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see where,
hated the inn
if
and
you
the
look at
guests
it
were
as
just-
only benefiting Dragonfly, then that would not be an appropriate use of funds, but I think it's actually promoting more than just what they do. Actually, I don't think they made that much money from it.
No.
No.
I talked to Nick.
I mean, it can grow into something,
well,
but
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So maybe there's another way to calculate what, I don't know. But it created a lot of community.
Yeah.
You know, that
So
there was a
maybe-
Port Orchard Film Festival. so-
Maybe if it was the Friends of the Dragonfly.
that'd have to be a nonprofit.
Oh, and they're not, that's right.
The Friends of the
But could
Dragonfly
they be the ones
Yes.
working with a chamber
But-
or Pops or something? And that might be would that then
And then
pass
I think
muster?
the lady,
so, but
was
I
that,
can
was there a
ask
ladies'
the
night out
council.
that night too?
Yeah, there was. It was a
What?
big night.
Ladies' night out.
Ladies' night out.
Yeah.
Was that night
Yeah,
too?
but they'd have to be not just a nonprofit, they'd have to be a 501c3 or 6 or 4, right?
I think
And,
just
and I
four
was,
qualify.
yeah, I was,
That was a 4.
I was booked that weekend, pretty full, and nobody knew that was happening. Nobody that came knew that was
The
happening.
film festival?
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Well, other than we had Al.
I don't know where they
Yeah.
stayed, but it was interesting because there were people flying in from all over and everything. They made this really weird little film and they flew out to talk about it.
Mhm.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
And some of them I really liked and some were just interesting.
So, yeah, so they, they wanted me to
It was like,
advertise. I said, well, why don't I just put her up,
They
Just
should
have her here.
charge
And it was
for
funny at breakfast
For those
because she
3-day
came
passes.
down and
They really
Yeah.
should
And
have.
she was the appropriate
And I would have put
5.5
someone up,
minutes
a
late
starving
coming out for
filmmaker.
breakfast. And then, you could tell people were looking at her and going, okay, there's something from, And so she entertained everybody at breakfast. It was great, gave them autograph photos and whatever. But yeah, anytime we do something, it's kind of cool.
Well, I think we're done. Then, do you have no direction for deadlines?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And the next meeting?
Do you think 3 to 4 weeks is enough time for applications to
What do
be?
you guys think?
Or do you want me to do full 30 days or 4 weeks, whatever?
I think 3 to 4. I don't think it needs to be 30. I think as long as we have a good
People will
deadline.
take as long as you give
Yeah.
them.
Like the Tuesday after the holiday is probably a good day. Tuesday.
Karen's is
fine.
due on the 17th of July.
So use the same one for this then.
Now, theirs is a different form.
Well, right, but if you're doing it,
Yeah, we're doing the planning.
Well, the
for
advertising
whole
will be
nine
out,
yards.
so if they want to fill it out at the same time, it doesn't prevent.
So what can we do on the advertising side of it to get the word out that it's open more?
I mean, we're going to push it through Facebook, we're going to
Okay.
put it on our press release, and we're going to.
Who do you send the press
Put
releases?
an ad
How
in
do
the
you guys do
paper.
that? What do you guys do in your press releases? How do you
Go to
distribute
paper.
those?
It's whoever signs up for our distribution list.
Does it go to the
it's
media too?
emailed.
Does it go to the Independent and the Sun?
We send it to them, but.
Okay.
And we do, I
It's a
think
small
we do
distribution list. It's mainly
we either do
individuals,
1
I
or
think.
2 ads through,
Okay.
well, it's.
Legal notices?
Notices. And then last
Can
year.
we
I
do a
think was-
display ad like they do the the water?
Problem is, it's like
It's too
$300 to
much.
$400 for a display ad. I didn't budget for any of that.
So like the sewer flushing, that's $300 to $400.
Yeah, but they
Tell
pay
your sewer
for it.
bill's so high, right?
Maybe we can get the sewer bill to mention it if it.
Yeah.
But I have an email distribution list of people that
Okay.
applied in the past that I've got, that want to apply this year. And we've always added, anybody that holds events that doesn't apply, we always include them. I just don't know how to engage more people or to find out.
Yeah, 'cause one of the things that we're talking about is, like DECA they do tournaments. The drill team, for the ROTC folks, they do drill team competitions, which brings people in to see these competitions. We're trying to figure out how to get a list of all of those types of things, to put together a visitor packet that we give, when they're checking in, they get this that they give to their parents because there's 3 hours in between their, whatever, and rather than go see a movie, maybe we can get them to do something else.
We had 14 soccer girls in the inn a couple of
Where'd you put them all?
Oh, come on, there's enough
Buddy,
rooms.
that's
There's
fair.
7 rooms. Yeah, and the
enough
first few
rooms.
days they came in, they went one day they went to Seattle, and one day they went to the
Why
ocean.
were they here?
They were for a soccer tournament. They
Where
were
was this
From
tournament
Denver,
at?
Colorado.
Where was the tournament?
Olympia?
Wow.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
stayed here
They stayed, yeah.
Wow.
for
Yeah.
Olympia?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
How did they find out about you? Do you know?
Their coach found it online.
Huh.
Yeah, needed a place to accommodate, yeah. And they took 2 days, and they planned it out really.
I'm
took
gonna
2
close
days.
the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned.
Adjourn.